All right, it's Tobin, and I'm back with another episode of Book of Experts TV. And listen, as experts, you know how hard it is to go out. You're working so hard to boost your visibility, get seen by the people you want to make an impact with. Well, what if you could also take that boosting of your visibility and look great doing it? That's going to be the topic with our guest today.
Time for Book of Experts TV.
Topics you love.
Experts you trust.
Friction-free referrals.
Tried,
Tested,
Trusted.
This is Book of Experts, brought to you by salesman.me. Nikki Gomez, welcome to Book of Experts TV. We have a fashion industry expert here, former model, now photographer, doing really, really interesting things with their clients. So excited to have you on here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Now, real quickly, you are joining, I know you've moved around the map a little bit. Are you back in New York City now?
I'm currently in New York City. I'm actually awaiting word to find out if I'll be moving to Tulsa for a year.
Ah, interesting. Well, so a little background for folks out there that will be catching this. Nikki and I actually connected through a common friend and client, Bree Seeley, who I saw the work that you did with Bree, and I'm like, it's stunning work, and it's very relevant in our space of working with experts, because you want to put yourself out there, not only in a polished way. Like, it's not just about having, corporate headshot kind of photography, but style. And this is one of the things I'm sure you love about Bree as well. She's very unique in her style. Definitely. You were able to capture that in a way that it just, it spoke to every image that she was sharing with us. It was really pretty wow. So I want to talk about how you were able to do that, sort of the big picture of thinking about taking your experience in the fashion industry and being able to bring that into the professional space, because I think there's a lot of people who could really benefit from that.
Yeah, I mean, I was super excited to shoot Bree because she is a friend, and I got to spend a lot of time with her in Minnesota. We were actually housemates for almost 4 months during the pandemic. And so for me, my approach has always been about capturing the authentic person. And a lot of that has to do with my background in the fashion industry, because while there's a lot of fantasy and a lot of glamour, it's very important to capture the true beauty and natural essence of the model so that they can be marketed to clients. Clients don't necessarily want, and I say clients, I mean brands, designers, they don't necessarily want to choose a model based on all of the glamour and all of the glitz. They want to choose the person based on their natural beauty and their authenticity. And oftentimes a person's authenticity dictates what brand they'd actually be good for. So even as an agent, I was an agent for 2 years in New York. Oftentimes we'd submit a model to a client and the feedback would be, oh, she looks great, but what does she really look like? And so that kind of gave me the foundation for going back into photography and saying, okay, I'm going to capture people and their natural essence. And I want to show their natural beauty. And to me, everyone's beautiful. I don't care if you're a model or a real person or entrepreneur, whatever it is, there's something about you that makes you so unique that I just see as beautiful and I want to capture. And so doing that with Bree was really a highlight of our whole time together, because here I understood this person, I understand her creativity and her love for what she does. And so here was the opportunity to showcase that in a very organic way.
I love that. Finding. So in our space, we do a lot of outreach, making new connections in the business world. And one of the steps that we always talk about is finding the awesome in another person first. Like, yes. That's how you enter their world, and you're finding the beauty in other people. So the other thing that I really love about your story here is that you come from the fashion world. So I always feel like the most interesting ideas, the most innovative approaches come when someone is a domain expert in one space, and they take what they've learned, which maybe is common knowledge there, I don't know, but it's that subject matter expertise, and carry it over into a new domain. So in the business world, I would never have described myself as a model of my business, the model in my business, but we all need sort of environmental shots, like for websites and for social media, and we want to be real, and we want to create that magnetic personality that's going to attract the right people, and sometimes repel the wrong people equally as much, so that it accentuates and amplifies the work we're doing. So I really love that aspect of your work. And what I want to talk about next is the pandemic, because I can imagine, you were in New York City, you and Bree moved out and back into Minnesota, as you said.
Yeah.
But it must have, as a photographer, it must have turned your world upside down. And maybe that will lead us into sort of your creative response to that.
Yeah, I mean, as a photographer, there's photographers that love to shoot landscapes and still life and all of those things that don't require interaction with people. So there's lots of opportunities there for them, even during a pandemic, because they can go out and shoot those things. I love to photograph people. That is my area of expertise. And so in the beginning of the pandemic, being pulled away from that and not having that creative outlet to photograph people really took a toll on me. And I like to describe it as withdrawal. I go through withdrawal if I don't get to create, and this is my form of creation. And so, yeah, I was going through that whole frustration, and then I had the opportunity to go to Minnesota. And ironically, that actually opened my eyes to new possibilities and new ways of doing things. And with that, I was like, oh, I can photograph people virtually. Like, there's no reason for me to feel like there's a limitation on my creativity. And I had a lot of clients seeking that need to create content. And so that was the solution. It's like, okay, well, let's use the technology we have. Let's get online and let's do a photo shoot. And it's worked out beautifully. I've been able to do everything from photo shoots in Puerto Rico to Australia to LA, all from my bedroom in Minnesota. Yeah.
This is amazing. So when Bree was sharing the image, and actually I'm going to bring up on the screen because I want folks to see. So this is your website. We'll share that as one example, and then actually let me bring in. I want to also show your Instagram feed because there's a lot of great images there. I'd love for you to, I wouldn't have believed this was even possible, to be very honest with you. Like, if you had said, you're going to be able to create this kind of presentation, with your skill set, your background from fashion photography, and you're going to do it as a virtual photo shoot, I would have said no way. So can you walk us through a little bit, like conceptually, how do you even plan this out to get the results that you're looking for? Because these are stunning images, and I met, again, some of these clearly from the fashion world, but you're capturing the essence of the person. And again, there's a real world application for us with our expert-based businesses.
Yeah. So a lot of my feed is a mixture of both virtual and in person. So pre-COVID, post-COVID. And for me, it's really about the communication. And I think that in the past 8 or 10 years, with the advancements in photography, technology, and cameras, I think there was a lot of focus on, well, you're a good photographer if you have the newest camera. And the camera was getting the credit for the creation. And one of the beautiful things that I love about virtual photography is that it's more stripped down. It's less about what your camera is. It's less about the technology in that sense. And it's more about the communication between you and your subject. So a lot of these shoots, I'm basically having a test call with people ahead of time. We're checking their internet connection. We're talking about lighting. And so they're learning lighting at the same time. Then we're talking about angles. So everything goes into the communication with your subject. And so that even opens up more of a connection for me. Anyway, I work through intuition and relating to my client. So that planning phase, that test call, we're connecting, we're figuring out how we're going to do this shoot, what angles we need, what outfits we need, what's the best place in their home for lighting. And we pretty much go from there. And I think that in some ways, the industry got so reliant on technology that we often lost that human interaction and that human communication that makes it necessary to get a quality, authentic capture.
What kind of questions are you asking, or in these conversations are you thinking about to capture the, like what I'm trying to orient myself to even what this might look like, to come out with the output that is going to facilitate and like I said, help people, because boosting visibility is a big topic that comes up, because a lot of our experts, they are subject matter experts. They have the ability literally to impact the world of the people around them, but they often feel like best kept secrets. So this feels like a secret ingredient here to helping them present themselves in a way that will bring more folks into their world.
Yeah, I would say a lot of it goes into what they've already done. So I have to see what type of images they have out there, how they represent themselves in social media and on various platforms. The other part of it is really good old-fashioned human interaction. It's pretty simple from my perspective, because I've always called myself an intuitive photographer. So what I do is less about the latest lens and the latest technology, and more about the human interaction and the ability to kind of feel for a person. And so it's in that feeling for a person. And I often say I'm very goofy, so it's hard to be nervous in a photo shoot with me, because I'm going to laugh with you, I'm going to play with you, we're going to joke, we're going to have a great time. And that kind of disarms people a little bit, and we get to capture more of them. And then when it comes to questions, it's really, what is this for? What is your mission? What are you going to use the images for? Who's your target audience? Like, that all goes into it as well. But I feel like the biggest component is really that human connection. And I think it's often overlooked, but so important.
Yeah, this is great. And I want to share, Nikki, so Andrew, a member of our audience, jumped in and said, this is fantastic. It's so relevant. And I love this too. I'm also curious, like, now that you've sort of discovered this new space of doing virtual photo shoots, what does the future look like for you? Will you continue? Will you have a hybrid of model as things, as the opportunity to go back to somewhat normal becomes more and more available to us? How are you thinking about, how has this changed the trajectory of the work you're doing?
I feel like it's inspired me in a new way. For so long it was like, oh, if I want to shoot my friend in Ireland, I have to get on a plane and go to Ireland and shoot her. And now it's like, no, we could do some really cool stuff virtually, and there's no need for that disruption in like our life or our location or whatever. So I want to incorporate it into whatever happens in the future as well. So it's an option that I'm never going to get rid of. It's just another option. And I think it specifically really lends itself well to corporate entrepreneur type of photos as well. Like you mentioned in the beginning, there's the corporate headshot, which kind of feels so formal that it's almost removed from the person you're trying to connect to. And then there's a way to do that in a very approachable, real sense. And so I would love to just like branch out more into that and keep that as part of an offering that I have going forward.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to share with folks that yesterday we had a fairly robust discussion on LinkedIn, talking about there's, and I don't know if you've maybe even seen this news story, but there was a consultant from, I think she was in North Carolina, who had the typical corporate, power suit headshot that was part of her LinkedIn profile. And then she's been at home. She's doing her consulting calls from home with 3 little ones under the age of 10. And finally, she just put up a real photo of herself, like what she actually looked. And she said, this is who I am. This is how I'm going to show up on the Zoom call. Same person, same brilliant strategy mind, but without all the polish. And it created this huge buzz on LinkedIn, because it was, when people were arguing back and forth about, what does this new space mean for us as people become more authentically who they are, working from the home environment, for example, and showing different sides of themselves, compared to what traditionally in the business environment, a lot of people have felt this pressure to sort of keep up. I mean, I'm broadcasting here. I've got my T-shirt on. I'm not, putting on a suit and tie for our conversation.
Love it.
What is your take on this, particularly because you are the subject matter expert in visuals and in bringing high-end fashion style photography into the world?
For a long time, I have said to my clients, and I've said to many, many people, that authenticity is the way of the future and perfection is passé. There's less of a market for perfection than there is for authenticity. People want who they can relate to. They want to find that person that is right for them. And so whatever your business is, if you are presenting yourself in an authentic manner, you're going to find, like you mentioned, even at the top of this, your right clients, the people that you're trying to attract. In a lot of ways, you're going to repel the ones that are not going to be right for your business. And that's okay, because there's always someone right for your business, but it's best to show who you are. And I think that was like one of the goals of shooting Brie, is that we wanted to unapologetically show her as she was, because the clientele she's going to attract is going to want that, is going to relate to that, is also in need of showing themselves as they are, and not this perfect cookie cutter version of themselves. And for a long time, this is me showing a little bit of my age, we were taught that it should be polished and perfect and this and that and photoshopped a certain way. And, and in reality, that just removes you further and further away from your target client, your target audience, whoever that may be. And so even in the fashion world, I've been kind of always striving for more of an authentic, real take of the person. And I find that younger generations, millennials and younger, are also embracing that. And that's a core value for a lot of them. So it should be expressed in the work as well, in the photos.
So this is super fascinating, because not only is it working better in the professional space, the business space, because people are more, they're allowing themselves to present more authentically who they are, and people are responding in positive ways. But I'm hearing you say that even the fashion industry is starting to shift, because people are asking for, they're requesting, they're craving more of that real connection with folks and less of that polished, airbrushed, photoshopped, the world is perfect. We're all perfect, which we know we're not, right? So take us in with our imperfections, but actually make that real human to human connection with folks. I really love this. So I'm going to bring back up on the screen for a moment. We'll look, again, this is Nikki's Instagram feed, which you can find her. You can actually follow her work. Encourage you to follow her work on Instagram at the Nikki Gomez, the website's the Nikki Gomez. Instagram is at the Nikki Gomez. That's with 2 Ks in Nikki. You'll see that on the screen as well. Where else should folks go, Nikki, for them? If they're interested, they'd like to connect with you, enter your world, have a conversation about this, where would you like to connect with them?
You can always come through Instagram, as well as my website at thenikkigomez.com, spelled the same way. My email's all out there, so you can reach me through either or, and I'm always happy to talk.
I so appreciate you taking a little bit of time to share your perspective. I found this story fascinating, one, because of the shift that you had to make. And again, it's pretty amazing what you're able to accomplish in a virtual photo shoot. I think this is one of those cases where I just wouldn't have believed it until I saw the output, and I was like, wow, so this is actually what's possible when you do it in this new form. So all kudos to you. Amazing work. Appreciate you taking a little bit of time to share your story with us here on Book of Experts.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for all the possibilities. And I just want to remind everyone that necessity is the mother of invention. If you see a roadblock, think outside that block, outside that box, and come up with a solution that works for you, because it's all possible.
Great message for the day. Be resourceful. And for our audience out there, listen, if you liked this episode of Book of Experts TV, follow the guests, like go find them on social media, find the doorway that you can walk through to connect with folks. So Nikki's just told you can follow and connect with her on Instagram. I encourage you to rate, review, send a recommendation. Listen, we love that with Book of Experts as well. That's important. Anyone that's creating an audience and putting content out there, the best thing you can do to make a real connection is actually take a few minutes, go where it matters, go on Apple, iTunes, rate us, review us, tell us what you're thinking. We want those connections with you as well. Join us in the comments. We're part of the conversation. And make sure you also join us next week. We have an expert panel. This is coming up on October 5th. We're going to be talking about building online communities. We have 3 experts coming in. We'll be talking about LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, and even groups outside of the social media, like when it's not owned by the big social media companies. You want to go somewhere else to gather your audience. We'll be talking about that and doing networking right afterwards. That's next Monday, October 5th. So appreciate you, Nikki. Thanks for taking the time, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you, Tobin.